The superpower that every citizen has is the ability to control where they spend their time, money, and attention. By focusing these on supporting local businesses, you are having a profound impact on your friends, your family, and your local community. So if you want to change the world, you can start with buying local.
RASP Inc. is committed to forming strong customer partnerships and delivering comprehensive solutions for industrial control and system design needs. In a rapidly evolving tech landscape, staying current can be challenging, and maintaining the right staff and schedules for complex projects is often difficult. Companies choose RASP Inc. as their trusted partner to address these challenges. From implementation through after-project support, we are here when you need us most. We also offer all support services for any project, whether we designed your system or not. You can call RASP Controls for all of your support needs. RASP, Industrial Controls and Automation.
Welcome back, everyone, to Buying Local. I'm your host, Mike Nelson, joined today by special guests, which we now say every show, so everyone's special these days, but extra special guests. Don, do you still go by Soldier Son?
The Soldier Son, that is my fight name, yeah.
That is your fight name, okay. Don, the Soldier Son, Walton. Walton, right? I almost wanted to say Walden, like with a D.
Nope, Walton, like Walmart.
Like Walton. Are you part of that trust?
Not in the least bit. I tried.
And Jay Ingleston. These guys are from DonnyBrooke Fight Promotions, right? Mm-hmm. So I know we talked a little bit about behind the name, but tell us a little bit about what DonnyBrooke is and what you guys are doing.
So the name DonnyBrooke, I did not name the promotion after myself. I just want to point that out right now.
Okay.
Everybody thinks that somehow I was the one. No, that was my idea. So DonnyBrooke Fight Promotions, they originated in Vermont. They've been in Vermont for a long time.
Yeah.
Out in Vermont, they're a family-owned promotion, and they're looking to expand. And I was talking with them, and I kept saying how I wish that we had more options in our area for combat sports entertainment. And as we kept talking, eventually the owner, Rex Thompson out in Vermont, said, why don't you take it to New York and it becomes your promotion, and we'll help support you, we'll help you get started, and we'll help you get it launched off the ground. And I started looking at all the logistics of it. It's not that complicated. It's just a lot of work, and I can't do it by myself. I was talking with Jay, and Jay had worked with a prior promotion, and before that he had ran his own promotion as well. And he's been involved in the promotional industry of combat sports for longer than anybody else in this area, in my opinion.
Okay.
Including current promotions right now. He's been around longer than them. I originally was just reaching out to Jay for advice, and eventually I could tell that Jay wanted to be involved, and I don't remember exactly how it went, but I just was like, hey, Jay, you want to get in on this then? It sounds like you want to get in on this. And
yeah, it was perfect timing. Perfect time in the sense that I needed to get back into having a little bit more stimulation than what I was doing with the prior promotion, get back into the grind of, getting in there and securing sponsors and venues and talking to insurance and letting Don have the reins on the fighters and stuff.
Yeah.
And learning that it's kind of like babysitting.
So I didn't realize that that you're affiliated with an outfit out of Vermont.
yes.
I literally, when I first heard about DonnyBrooke, I figured, I'm like, oh, okay, Don's got a business partner whose last name or first name is something with Brooke.
So DonnyBrooke is a Canadian term.
Oh, okay.
For fighting.
Yeah.
For fighting?
Yeah,
So
we're
they'll say
going to throw
like-
down, we'll have an old-fashioned DonnyBrooke.
And that's what they call it.
Old-fashioned DonnyBrooke.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And somehow Rex decided to name that his promotion. And as we were talking, I go, this is an established name. I could start my own thing from the ground up, but it's from the ground up compared to and Rex was the one who had the idea, not me, where he said, why don't you use our platform?
Yeah.
We already have a following. We have a database of fighters. And I just said, you know what? That's a brilliant idea. And I'm the type of person where I don't like asking for help. So I was looking into getting a loan from a bank and all this stuff. And he goes, dude, let me help you. And I'm just like, fine. I'm used to working on things myself. So for instance, I'm not good at walking up and talking to sponsors.
Yeah.
and trying to explain, like sell something. I'm not a salesman. I'm a fighter. Jay has been in this business long enough where he understands the sales side of it.
Yeah.
And so I realized, there's certain things that I cannot do. I just can't. And so this entire fight card, I made it. I spoke to all the fighters and coaches. This entire card was made by me.
I have not helped once. I mean, other people would probably try to disagree with us on that, but I haven't, had my input on things, which was kind of the way it was designed. A lot of people think that there's more to it than meets the eyes, but Don has been the 100% making the fights, and I'm the day-to-day operations, business type stuff.
It's nice to have that.
Jay's the responsible adult.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
It's funny you say that because I was, as you were saying that, I was thinking about how many times I saw a post on social media from you looking for 155-pound male or whatever it was, where you put those posts up looking for fighters, and how every single time I had to put on my big boy pants and not make some sort of joke on Facebook about your post on there. I was like, that's not helping Don if I start making jokes on there. So leave it alone. It took a lot of restraint on my part.
If you want to fight, we can make that happen.
Like I said before we got started, I'm having a hard enough time with those kids in judo, the judo kids over at the Dakina. But back to the point though, I mean, that's a great relationship to have inside a business, right? As a person that's handling operations and then a person that's handling like the other side, the front side of a lot of those details. We have a similar relationship. My business partner, Brad, and I, where he's the operations guy. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. I get to deal with all the front side stuff, which is nice.
Yeah. I've given him a couple tests a couple times to see if he was ready to do certain things business wise. And
yeah,
he came through. So.
He came through.
Yeah. I've been quite happy with the fact that I have Jay's experience, because there's certain things I know for a fact if I did this by myself, I would have screwed it up. I would have messed it up big time. So I'm really glad that I have Jay's guidance here. And eventually the goal is to reach a point where, both of us could do either job if needed.
And I know we want to talk about the fight that's coming up March 30th, but I do want to just get a little bit more backstory. Obviously, Don, we've had you on the podcast before, so we've got your story. And if you guys are interested in learning more about Don and how he arrived where he is today, which is a brilliant coach from a BJJ stand, from a jiu-jitsu standpoint. I mean, I think you're an amazing coach. I'm not just saying that, but also you've done a fair amount of amateur fighting. You had how many? One professional fight?
One professional fight so far.
Yeah. Do you have something coming up?
Nothing right now. I'm waiting for my nose to heal first.
Yes. Okay, well, I won't make any jokes about that either. Actually.
Fighting is safe, kids.
Yeah.
Fighting is perfectly safe.
Now, the Soldier Son moniker, was that at our show that came about? Was that beforehand?
I made that a long time ago.
Is that why? Because remember the way we did the tag was the Soldier Son.
Yeah, that was
the American Soldier.
That was before that. Yeah.
Okay.
I fought. My father was in the military, so I hate it when guys come up with just stupid sounding names that just make you sound like an absolute tool. So I was like, I want something that's honorable, and I'm like, I'm going to honor my father. That's what I'm going to do.
Do you have an example?
The first guy. I'll tell you. The first guy I ever fought, he was 1-0, and he called himself the Sandman. And I just was like, that is a dumb name.
My fight name was the Punisher. My first two fights, and then I'm like, no, we don't put that back on there.
Don't put that back on there.
Just because when I was getting announced the first time it was cool, and then the second time, like, there's Jason the Punisher Lambert, who I'm actually friends with, and I'm like, it works for him. I don't think it works for me.
No. I don't look tough. I don't act tough. I'd rather be an honorable person instead. So
okay. Well, and so Jay, that's what I would, tell us a little bit about your background about, obviously you fought and what you've been doing previous to this.
Fighting. I retired from fighting in 2009. My daughter was born in April. I booked a couple fights after that, and it just kept falling through. So I kind of went, it's not for me. So I went right into coaching, got a gym, trained a bunch of fighters, did that for all the way up until the pandemic hit, and I haven't gone back to that. And then I kind of I was doing commentary for Cage Wars for the last couple of years, but I was doing different things with them social media wise before that and during. And then this popped up, and here we are.
And here we are.
Yeah. Well, I'm coming back to Saratoga. When I used to own Cage Combat with a business partner. We bought it off Chad Beatty back in 2014, 15.
This is Chad's building.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. He was our business partner. We bought him out recently, but
I know years ago he was waiting to get out of the business for a while, and we bought Cage Combat from him. Did a couple, about 2 years worth of shows at the city center, and then had fallen out with my business partner and took a little break. Ended up with Cage Wars. That's history now, and then this just happened to be. It was a weird dichotomy of this happening, that happening, this happening. Like in between, I've written 3 poetry and quote books. I was actually getting ready when he had messaged me to write a upstate MMA like history book, and that's I think when the juices started. I'm like, wow, that'd be cool if I like started promoting again, and have that. There's an anxiety that goes with it, but I think it's a good pushing anxiety, and that's what I've been trying to tell Don when he gets anxious and stuff. Like, use it. Like, it'll trust me, it'll propel you. And then this all came together in like a very short time. Yeah, and I gave Cage Wars kind of a notice per se, and here we are, and wherever this goes, like get this show out of the way. It's been leaps and bounds, but I think a lot of people thought it was going to be. But I try to let everybody know that Saratoga's always been a fight town. It's a town where on a Friday and Saturday night somebody's always looking for something to do. Like we did a sold out show there. I think it was in 2015, and we had like 400 tickets walk up that night. Like, oh no kidding! That's how like within I don't know if it was word of mouth the couple days before that, but it was. We were just looking at each other, my previous business partner, going, is this real life right now? Like everybody just kept funneling in. And I think March 30th being like, it's going to start getting nice out. And then everybody around the area, hopefully will. That 2 feet of snow that's coming next week will be melted by then. Right, exactly. I was laughing. I saw that on the St. Patty's Day storm every year, right? So, and what styles are your background in? I was trained by a professional kickboxer. Okay. I started training in mid 2002. It was funny because before, like when this all initially started, I was taking my cousin's friends and bringing them up to my grandfather's basement and using the Gracie DVDs on them. Nice. And then I had seen something on Facebook in 2007 where they were looking for fighters in Burlington. And I went, okay. No training partners at this time. Right. I'm going to wing it. So I ended up hooking up with somebody like I went to high school with. He was a couple years younger. He was a wrestler. And then we got, this guy and that guy. And then when I started taking it seriously, I contacted a family friend who was a professional boxer. His name was Tom Panuchek. He's ranked 8th in the world at like 145, 155, 158, I think it was actually. Took me under his wing, taught me tough love. And then from there, fighting, learning this and going to Chad used to teach. I opened Iron Fist with a buddy up in Queensbury. I was going to say, that's Queensbury. Right? Iron Fist MMA. Roger had brought a bunch of us in as coaches, and I was the MMA coach. Well, Chad taught a jiu-jitsu class right before I taught the MMA class. Oh, no kidding. But I'd already known Chad because I used to do a bunch of not reffing, but judging for his shows over in Bennington. Okay. And a couple of my guys had fought for him and stuff. So I would hop in with them, and Chad showed me a couple things. He's freaking hilarious, man. Yeah. Yeah. I think he's coming back soon from Florida, but rolling with him was fun. He was not. He wouldn't just tap you out immediately, let you understand stuff, and then like I would train with this person, learn something from that person, and then it just eventually evolved. And I opened a gym in Granville, New York. Ended up coming back to Iron Fist for a while because his program kind of went down a little bit, and then somebody else had messaged, let's do this. And then they opened Atlas Jiu-Jitsu up in South Glens Falls. Yeah. I opened that with Ed, Joe, and actually my former business partner. And then I left there and started something in Whitehall. And then the pandemic hit, and that was it for coaching. Yeah. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of it's interesting to see how much jiu-jitsu's out there now compared to
back in the day. There's like 2 jiu-jitsu gyms within a 50-mile radius.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, I talked with Chad 15, 20 years ago, he was like, there's no jiu-jitsu. You have to go down to New York City, just to find people to train with and stuff. So
Spa City was the only jiu-jitsu place. And then he was coming up to Queensbury, but then there was really nothing, nothing at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. And now, I think it's amazing that there's so much jiu-jitsu out there now. It's really cool. But I'm all of a sudden I feel like I'm Joe Rogan because you're a former stand-up comedian. You guys are fighting people. You know how Joe always has comedians and MMA people on his podcast, right? Wow, this is amazing.
The comedy career.
I'm gonna shave my
comedy
head.
career is done. I'm not doing that anymore.
You're all done? You're not doing it?
Absolutely not. You know why I love doing comedy in Cali? Because nobody knew me. If I did comedy here, no way. Right?
Yeah.
No way. There's too many people here that know me.
Just stick to your jokes at jiu-jitsu
Exactly.
during class. Yeah. So let's talk about March 30th. Let's talk about the fight. Obviously, I've got the main fight poster right here, but you've got multiple fights happening, right?
We've got 12 fights on the card right now.
12 fights, right? And I guess that's pretty typical, right? Where you'll always have multiple fights throughout the night because you don't want to do just one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Could be over in 45 seconds. So tell us a little bit about what it takes. I don't think you guys had referenced about, people cancel. And I think I've seen you actually post how you thought you had a fighter in this weight class and then they dropped out. Tell us a little bit about the process for getting a fight together. Yeah.
There's the simple answer and the not so simple. The simple answer is I talk to a fighter or a coach and I get people that message me. They'll tell me they want to fight, or a coach will send me a roster of their guys. And then when I get a bunch of rosters and I go, okay, let me see who I can match them up with. We have a database that we use at DonnyBrooke where it goes into a Google Docs sheet. Say I get a phone call, hey, I got a 155-pound fighter at this many fights, whatever. I can go into the database and there's probably somebody in there that I can pick out and contact. Now, that being said, fights drop all the time. My first fight, that never happened. On 2 days' notice, they call me, hey, your opponent got a new tattoo the week before the fight's infected with MRSA. Okay. And then another fight dropped at another one. And eventually it took about a year before my first fight actually stuck.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I've heard you talk about that. It's just crazy to me.
I faced off with a guy one time and then I show up after weigh-ins the next day and they go, so he's not going to make it. I'm like, why? Got impaled through the shoulder by a pitchfork. I'm like, I'm not even mad. I'm curious.
Yeah,
but I'm
hear
not
the story.
I never heard. So it happens, and so I tend to tell people, and we have it where the card is subject to change. We have that in as a disclaimer with it as well. But that being said, the main event is going to be amazing. That one I'm looking forward to the most. I've got some really good fights on the card in general. My big deal with the matching is I make sure that it's all fair. So there are promoters out there that do things where they'll take a kid who's high level at everything that he does and put him against a guy that's an absolute tin can just because they want to build that fighter. My opinion is I'm going to set you up with a fair match. Now, I'm not going to put you against an absolute killer if you're not an absolute killer, but you're also, I'm not going to give you an easy win. And I've had coaches message me with stats on their guys with really high level guys. And they go, but we want to get them some easy fights that we're still trying to build them up. I go, that's your problem. Said, I'm going to put him against a tough fight because he's a tough fight.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not that good, I'll put you against somebody who's not amazing because two guys who are not super high level fighting each other, that's more entertaining to me than watching some guy just demolish somebody easily. It's not fun to watch. It's more fun to watch good, solid fights. So our main event, for example, LG Pannell has been on a rise lately. She went and fought out in Lumpini Stadium. She just became the amateur WBC champion out in Thailand. Adina Hornstra is an undefeated female fighter in Muay Thai. She's only got one loss in MMA. She's been a veteran of the sport for a long time now. That's a fair matchup to me. Mm-hmm. Or I got one banger of a fight I'm looking forward to, where it's Logan Samaria versus Todd Banks. Todd Banks is 3-0 versus Logan, who's 2-1. That's a fair matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I would never in a million years put any of these people against somebody who's never won a fight. So that's just how I feel about it. That's my personal opinion. And also as a martial artist, I've turned down fights when promoters have offered me guys with losing records or guys who just are no good, I go, no, because that's a lose-lose for me. If I win, it was expected. If I lose, it's not expected.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, I lose.
Yeah, and the main thing is for certain like fighters, coaches, whatever, if you have a guy that you want to go pro
Mm-hmm.
and you're giving him the path of least hold on.
Resistance.
the path of least resistance. When they get to the pro level, you're not going to go and talk to a ring of combat, a reality fighting, a dead serious, and say, "Well, I want this guy because that guy."
Right.
You're going to get what you're going to get, and if you say no, guess what? Chances are they ain't going to call you back.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The other side of the coin is you build that guy up, and it's, and not so much tomato cans, but, not your level guys.
Mhm.
When you get to the pro level, you're in a shark tank. You might have been a big fish in a small pond. Now you're in a huge pond and you're a tiny little fish. So you're just a name in your community, but when you get into the big leagues, you're nobody really
Mhm.
until you make your name.
Mm-hmm.
That to me in itself should like wake a lot of people up and go, well, if I have aspirations to be a pro, maybe I should take some, high level amateur fights.
Exactly.
And that's common sense. That's not anybody saying, well, you're dumb to do that. Like you should want that type of competition
Mhm.
because if you don't, you got a really rude awakening and coming. And I've seen it probably 50, 60 times with guys where they're like, oh, yeah, you're good. Yep. And then they get up there and they never have another pro fight again.
Yeah.
Or they take a lot of amateur fights that are pretty one-sided, and then they get to the guy that's really tough, and then you don't see him again. That's because you build that ego up, and then you get that ego dropped, and some guys cannot come back from a detrimental loss of like, wow, that's what I do to other people, and that just happened to me. Well, it's because you ran into somebody at your level or higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the kids I train is the same thing. I'll set them up with fights where I go, I don't know if you're going to win. They're just going to go up. I'm like, dude, if your goal and your aspiration right now is to eventually be a pro fighter, this is the time to lose because nobody remembers, nobody like Khabib Nurmagomedov. He's got losses from his youth days in combat sambo and stuff like that. No one knows about it. Why?
Yeah.
Because no one cares. Everyone's paying attention to what he is as of this moment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
That's
care.
That's like Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather had almost 280 amateur fights before he ever became pro, and he lost a bunch of them too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's weird because I was talking to my daughter last night about wrestling and stuff, and she hides her medals and all that stuff because she don't want to see them and all that. And I'm like, why? She's like, well, I figure if I see them, then I'll think I'm cool, and then I'll lose, and then I'll hate it. And we've had the conversation before, and I always had it with all my fighters before they fought. Go out and have fun. Enjoy the experience. Win or lose, 99% of the population can't do this. This is something, and I harp on, and it's one of my favorite quotes in MMA, and Jason Spector is the one who instilled it in us when he taught wrestling at Iron Fist. You don't have to do this. You get to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Some people live and die by that, but when you go out, and then Don, the way you looked at fights before you went out, if you go in and you're dead set on, oh, I might lose, chances are that mindset, you could lose.
Mm-hmm.
If you go in and you're 100%, I'm going to win, and then you lose, it's still detrimental to whatever's going on. But I always looked at it when my 3 fights, I went in it, if I lose, I had fun. Take the experience in that walk, that sharing that intimate moment with somebody else that nobody else, probably the audience, will never able to comprehend what goes on in there. And that's what I fell in love with the sport. And that's when I started coaching and became the corner guy, to be able to show somebody and have them carry it out in the cage of the ring, that to me is religious, a religious experience. And that's the only way I can put it. And I don't know how you feel about that, Don.
No, you're right.
Yeah. Don't shake your head. Just say yeah.
Jay's over here saying some real shit, Don.
It's funny.
John's just like, yeah.
Because I did a radio show with Sean Kelly a couple years ago when we brought King Mo up. And he's asking questions and I'm going.
And you're just nodding.
And on live radio goes, Jay, you gotta say, yeah, you can't nod
People can't hear you nodding your head. That's amazing. So it's funny because I was thinking about when you were talking about who you're putting up and the matchups. I mean, I imagine as someone buying a ticket, I don't want to go see fights where one person's just getting the shit kicked out of them. Yeah. The fight takes less than a minute and then we're moving on to the next fight, right? Exactly. Like you want to see battles. Like there's a reason why, Rocky IV was one of the best Rocky movies, right? Exactly. Or, like, cause people, you see a fight, you see, or like even the first Rocky movie, right? Where, what was it? 15 rounds they went in the movie or whatever, right? Like it's like, that's what you want to see. You want to see the close match. So I think that's great that you're.
Yeah, I'm not interested in helping some guy get a winning amateur record.
Right.
My interest is putting on good quality fights, weeding out those who don't belong, and then from there, helping them turn pro, helping them move forward in their lives, or helping them realize this may not be for them to do.
I mean, I guess, is that like a balance that you guys have to do to kind of look at? On the one side, you want to take care of your fighters and you want to make sure that you're giving them what they need to advance in their careers. But at the same time, you're also running a promotions company and the people that are buying tickets for you are your customers, right? So you kind of got to make sure that you're entertaining them so they want to come back.
You got to keep that balance. And the thing that sets us apart from different promotions is we've both been fighters. We've been coaches. I've been a promoter before. So like the matchmaking and like I've been teaching him is, when you matchmake, if this person fights this person and this person loses, what is their value? Who can we put them in against next time? To keep their career facilitated. And the same thing with the win. Who can we put them against next? When you do short-sighted booking, it doesn't really leave anything for the next time. Like, oh, well, what if we use them? What are we going to do next time? Like I always looked at, well, if fighter A wins, there's somebody else over here waiting. If fighter B loses, there's somebody over here we can match them up with. And just to keep I don't want to say the veins going, but pretty much the veins going and make sure that everything is facilitated the way it should be. Because when you do short-sighted booking and it's over, and then you got another fight card up and you're trying to figure out, well, where do I go now? Like that was my biggest pet peeve with any other promotion in the area or not even in the area, in the United States, that if you have somebody you can run with and you can make something out of, but you also have the person that helped build that person. Without that, without an opponent, you're nothing. And it's just like, without selling tickets and having an audience, you're nothing. Them are the people you need to cater to. The fighters need to be catered to. You need to build them. Even when, they lose. If they win, okay, yeah, we can run with this person. They can fight that person, but it's not going to be an easy fight. This person will match him up with somebody the equal style, that type of stuff. So if you have two real alpha male fighters that are say 7-0, they're coming in, boom, boom. All right, this guy could win. This guy could win. All right, what are we going to do with either one of them if they win or if he loses? Because he's still on a track to do something. He's still on a track to do something. We need to make sure that we take care of the people that are taking care of us. Because in the amateur promoting arena, the fighters aren't making money. The promoters are making money. Yes, that's a good thing for the promoter. It's not really a good thing for the fighter because they're not really getting anything out of it but experience. So if you take fighter A and say he leaves the promotion and he goes on to pro. I want them leaving going, all right, that was an amazing experience. I got different looks from different fighting styles. I went on to do this, but I can look back and go, they took care of me. Like I didn't make money, but I learned a lot of valuable lessons. I didn't get all cut up or, that type of stuff, but to take the value that we can give without us worrying about a monetary gain, which I've never been in this to make money ever because John will tell you, really haven't made money. So.
Exactly. I tell people all the time, I go, the whole reason I wanted this was to educate our area. I spent so long in California. It's such a different fight game out there. There's literally a promotion every other week out there. And they're all not trying to compete with each other or kill each other's promotions. They're doing their own thing.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I think, you got to have your differences and you got to set yourself from different promotions or whatever. And I always go back to, we were fighters first. Coach, he's still a coach. I've been a coach for the last 16 years. It's just taking care of the fighters and not looking at them as an object to make money. Because once you do that, and in my experience, in my values and the way I look at things, and I think you would agree, Don, the martial arts community and the respect that everybody has for each other, if it was about money, it would dilute it to the point where, I wouldn't want to be involved. Where, if I'm coming in and, all right, well, they'll fight, whatever. I can make this off them. I don't want to be like that. I want to, all right, all right, now we got to get in. We got to figure out what we're going to do with them. Or if they want to come back again, we can make this. Or I want them to feel a part of the experience, not just be, a little cog in the wheel. They have to be where we can look at each other and go, yeah, we did good on that. And then if there's some where we look at each other and go, I guess, yeah, that wasn't the best thing, but what can we do to make it feel like better next time? So that's the way I look at promoting. I've always looked at it like that, because when I first started in Burlington Brawl, they were the first in the area. They were doing it right. They had alternates for every fight just in case somebody dropped out. And when I stopped fighting for them, I would go up and I would just sit there and learn the business. I would sit with a matchmaker. He would have me bring the fighters up from when they were ready. And I would sit on the stage and just watch intently almost every one. I've legitimately probably been to almost 100 fight cards. Either I've been involved in it, judging with Chad, or I went and helped Chad just to be there to learn. And then when I took over and, we started a little promotion in Granville, and then it just all came something you're not ready for. I was well, now I'm doing this now. But it's evolved to where now, I have a soon to be 15-year-old daughter, and it's weird for me to even think that she's talked about wanting to fight when she turns 18. She had a really good wrestling year. Now she went to the seminar with Calvin Gastelum, and that's going to be a totally different approach to things, because she wrestles and I don't get nervous for anything. That makes me a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. My daughter Avery, that goes jiu-jitsu, and she's been loving it, by the way. And yesterday she said she wanted to start boxing. And I was like, yeah. I'm like, are you ready to get hit in the face? I'm like, because that's literally what's going to happen, babe. Someone's going to punch you in your face. Are you sure you want to get punched in the face? And she's like, well, yeah. I said, but you might cry. And she's like, yeah, I know. She's like, but listen, she's explaining it to me. She's like, I'm going to get hit in the face and I'm going to cry, but that's going to make me tougher. And then I'm going to get even tougher and better, and I'll become a better fighter. And then when people punch me in the face, I won't care so much. And then I'll just be she's giving me this whole dissertation about becoming tougher, and that she wants to get punched in the face.
Well,
and I was
you're lucky you have a Muay Thai coach that
I know.
help her.
So that's what I said. So she was talking about boxing. I was like, well, boxing's amazing. I was like, but there's an amazing Muay Thai program right at Nadakana with Don. You could do that. And she's like, well, I don't know what that is. Will I get punched in the face? And I was
That's
like,
part of that. Yeah.
I was like, there's a pretty good chance you're going to get punched in the face.
And we got a youth fight team too, where she wants to find out.
Oh my gosh. She's lately, especially, she's really been loving just the whole thing. So I don't know.
That's the other thing, how full circle things have come, because I met Don when he fought for me.
Yeah.
And I've known Jim forever, when he was the wannabe cage announcer for Cage Combat. Me and Jim have a funny relationship. I always pick on him. He always picks on me. To have him fight for me, and then him watch my daughter grow up, and then have my daughter come to the seminar that he's helping out with, it was pretty cool. So
it's cool.
Yeah. And the one thing that separated Jay from any other promoter I ever worked with in this area was he was personable. I could tell that he wasn't about the business. He was about the fighter. And I had worked with other promotions where they might have a little more flair or something, even though they were no different than most other promotions, but they didn't care about you.
Mm-hmm.
Here we care about our fighters, and we want to make sure that they're taken care of, because I want them to come back. I want them to enjoy it, and I want everybody to have a good time. The whole point of this is first to just have a good time, put on fights, watch people get into fights, and enjoy it.
And to your point, and you touched on this before, because I was going to ask, I was like, what is in it for these guys as amateur fighters, like realistically, right? Like what do they get out of this? They're not getting paid. So why the hell do you want to go get your face clubbed in by a complete stranger, right? So, and you did touch on it, like some of them are on a path to go professional, and some of them just, but not everybody's trying to go pro though, right?
Some people just want to get it as a bucket list item too.
Yeah. I've seen quite a few bucket lists, one and done, and I got to do that. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Here's your platform. And then there's people that, I've noticed wrestlers that once they graduate high school or college is over, they still have that drive to be competitive. So they'll take up some martial arts, get some boxing, and then they love that whole buildup of, getting ready for whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll get into MMA, and that they just love the competition. Some of them don't want to go pro, and they just do it as, hey, I just got an outlet for whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for the most part, I think the landscape now is so much different for when I first started fighting. Back then it was sort of like the tough man. Yeah, I'm going to do that. MMA is new. It's 2008, and everybody's like, yeah, this and that. And you would get a lot of fighters that kind of started training like we did, we're in the basement. Mm-hmm. And then you would get guys that trained from legitimate gyms, but there wasn't really any legitimate gyms in 2007, 2008.
Right.
Chad had Spa City, and then he was starting, he started Cage Combat in 2008, and then they started having an outlet. But for the most part, I just trailed off where I was getting at. Back to wanting to fight. It's just everybody wanted to test themselves back there. The reason I got into it is I boxed back in 1991 for a little while, and then I would shadow box pretty much my teen years. And then I had my first fight when I was 30, 31 in 2008. So for me, it was a test. I'm you've been in bar fights and all this type of stuff. And I was training, never knowing I was ever going to have a fight when I started in 2002. And then it was an opportunity. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this. My first fight was at 185 against a guy who was 6'4". They couldn't find a fight for him. I ended up weighing in sweatpants, and I had the ankle weight things in my jock so I can make weight to fight at 185. And I ended up getting armbarred in the first round, and then.
So what were you actually weighing in at?
I think I tried to eat as much as I could before and the worst part about
you were trying to get up to 185.
I was trying to get up to 185. I think I legitimately weighed 172, something like that.
Nice.
And we had same day weigh-ins up there. So you would weigh in at 11, between 9 and 11 in the morning, and you fight later on that night.
Yeah.
So our ritual was, even if I wasn't fighting my guys, we would go to TGI Fridays. Well, back then, nobody was paying attention to what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat.
Right.
So we're just appetizers and wings and steaks and all that type of stuff. But just that experience, I could talk about that whole Burlington Brawl. There could be a movie built on that whole experience. The Poor Memorial Auditorium is now in it's basically abandoned and falling apart. But that was amazing to be able to fight in front of almost 2,000 people. And my second fight was against a guy who ended up becoming one of my best friends. I ended up being his manager after that. And to have that experience, and it was the first time I ever did a walkout, and people were yelling my name. People I didn't even know. And I remember this.
That must be pretty cool.
Yeah, I vividly remember I'm walking down, and there's this guy in the audience. I don't know who the hell he is. He looks at me, he's like, "Go get him, Jay." And I'm like, okay, yeah. But it was weird because I never got nervous. I would get nervous a couple weeks before, but once I was there, it was just this is what I'm supposed to be doing, apparently. And I would just enjoy the moment. And I never, my last fight, I broke my nose. It came out by my nose or about my eye. A fight that I was supposed to win. And I kind of got cocky beforehand because everybody's coming up going, you got this. This is easy. This is easy money. And I'm like, yeah. And then I went out there and I ended up getting my nose broke off my face and guillotined. But It's the experience, and I think a lot of people fall in love with that. I know a couple people that might have stayed beyond.
Just the whole thing, not the fighting aspect, but just the whole what's around it.
You can't replicate that, and I like. There's nothing like it as they're done.
No,
like when your music hits and you walk out and you know where you're going and what you're going to do. Like I get goosebumps thinking about it right now, just because there's nothing comparable, nothing in the world comparable with the way that adrenaline spikes and that, and like you walk there and then you're going in, you're getting Vaselined up, and you're just like, I'm gonna go in there and I know what's gonna happen. That's something you cannot. You could prepare for it in the gym, but once you get there, like it all changes. And it's like, I don't say not even tunnel vision. Cause I remember my second fight, I can remember the lady in the front row yelling elbows, elbows, elbows. And when you listen to DVD, you can hear it. And I'm like, I can't do elbows. It's not legal. So it's just that experience. Like if you could bottle it and sell it, you could make millions of dollars on it, and I would buy it every time.
So March 30th, obviously. What's after March 30th?
So the City Center and I discussed that. We're looking to do a summer show afterwards, then a show in the fall.
Okay. And is that what you guys are going to do? Is you're going to just kind of do a few events a year?
I want to do about 3 or 4 shows a year.
All at the City Center?
Yes. Yeah. So we have the Donnybrooke Vermont. And so basically what we're doing is we're working together where between us and Vermont with our pool of fighters, we can put on like 7 to 8 shows a year for all the fighters and have them go between Vermont and New York. And long-term plan is to have it where there's a Donnybrooke in each state and be able to have fights throughout the country. But that's the long term.
Yeah.
But right now it's between New York and Vermont. We're just working together to be able to make it so that way we can put on the best show possible for our fighters.
Yeah. In Donnybrooke, Vermont, they do all their shows out of the Berry Auditorium up there. And they actually have pro fights too. So we'd love to do pro fights in New York, but thank you, New York, for your high insurance premiums on fighters.
What are you talking about? New York State is the easiest state in the country to do business in.
Oh, it's insane. It's $1,500 for one fighter for insurance. So if you,
I don't doubt it.
It's insane because you can go to any other state and you will pay $1,500 for the whole show.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I think they priced themselves out with the UFC being able to pay that, and like them and Bellator are pretty much the only ones that could do the premium. But what it did was it took, I mean, how many years ago there used to be a pro boxing show in this area all the time. Yeah. Once they legalized MMA in New York State, that premium for insurance went up. So you got $1,500 per fighter. You're not doing pro shows unless you got a lot of money to throw around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In Vermont, we're able to do it up there. So basically the other thing is, say we got a fighter here in New York who shows a lot of promise. They want to turn pro. Guess what? It's a 3-hour drive from here. You can turn pro now in Vermont. That's what I did. And so all of a sudden there's a place right there where the regulations aren't so crazy because it's Vermont. And so our big incentive with our fighters is, hey, we already have an established professional/amateur show in Vermont. So say you want to fight in New York and you come through the rankings and you prove that you have what it takes to be pro. Boom, there you go. That's something that we're able to offer our fighters. That way they don't have to go elsewhere to try and turn pro. They can turn pro with us and stay in the family.
Yeah, didn't you say something about, and not to hammer on New York State, because it is the freest state in the country. But didn't you say something about like you can't do Muay Thai fights?
So we can't do small glove Thai fights.
That's what it is.
So one championship, they're able to do.
That makes sense.
For the audience that doesn't know, there are the gloves they use in MMA. That's what we call small glove Thai fights. You get to fight with 4-ounce gloves. In New York, if you want to do an MMA fight and you want to wear small gloves and knock each other out all day, but if you want to turn into a Thai fight, you must wear big boxing gloves.
So you can do an MMA fight with small gloves, but you can't do.
Yeah.
And
we brought it 3 different times. We've brought it to the New York State Athletic Commission. They came back with saying, we don't want New York to be a trendsetter. I'm like, there's already multiple states that do it.
Oh, no fear of that there, fellas. No fear of that.
Meanwhile, bare knuckle boxing is being discussed in New York State now.
Yeah.
Feldman was talking about on Ariel Helwani's podcast the other day that they've been talking. I mean, the big selling point with New York State is will it make us money? That's pretty much all it is. And
Who
who
was the bare knuckle guy that used
Danny Batchelder.
Danny Batchelder, yeah.
Yep.
He was like, was he United States champion, world champion, something like that?
he went overseas and won championships over there, but he fought James Toney, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in boxing. But yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame overseas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember hearing something about that.
Yeah, I love Danny.
He's a scary dude.
I know.
He looks like a bare knuckle boxer. You know what I mean? Like you would not ever mess with that guy.
He's one of those friends of mine where when he meets other people, I'm like, look, Danny's a little different. Just so you know.
He used to come up to Iron Fist and spar with Boyce and them a lot.
Oh, yeah? Who, Matt?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I know Matt real well.
I managed Matt, and he's trained under me since 2013.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like Matt a lot.
Yeah.
He's funny.
He likes getting under people's skin, which is the best.
Oh, he does. He loves to stir the pot, man. He loves to stir the pot.
I will get people messaging me going, "Can you tell Matt why is he?" I'm like, I'm not telling him anything. This is like, don't take it personal, but he's going to get under your skin. He's going to make you want to hate him, but he's really not like that.
He's a great dude.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He was actually supposed to fight on this card.
Oh, no kidding.
Trying to find people for him and trying to get him excited about a fight because he's 40 years old now.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like, if I'm going to do it, it's got to be. But so hopefully eventually.
Oh my God. The last couple of fights that he had, and he was just stirring the pot on Facebook about stuff. It was great comedy reading some of that stuff.
Yeah, I tell everybody the story. I actually told Don last week, the Alessi fight when I've cornered a couple hundred fights. So it was like I had a joystick in my hand telling Matt what to do. And everything I came out of my mouth, he did it. And then after the fight, I'm like, that's the only fight I've ever yelled instruction, and you did everything I said you were going to do. And he won the belt that time. And they had no inclination that they didn't want him to win the belt.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't think he was going to win the belt. They thought it was going to be an easy fight, and he trained his ass off for that fight. So going into that, I'm like, this is going to be interesting. And then he went out and there's a point in that fight where he legitimately moved his right arm and threw Alessi into the cage. And then I think everybody went, oh, okay. It's not going to go the way we thought.
He's a strong dude, man. Yeah. I would not want to get punched in the face by that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. We first time I ever did a gi jiu-jitsu, I've been doing no gi since 2002.
Mm-hmm.
So when we opened Atlas, we were doing the gi class at night. First time we're doing it, and we're both looking at each other. Of course, we had to be partners. And, he's just move his wrist, and I'm going flying over here and flying over there. But yeah, he's a good dude. And hopefully, maybe in the summer, it'd be one last ride. I keep saying we can sell it as one last ride for the tank.
Yeah, right.
One last ride. So
that's awesome. Guys, if people want to learn more, if they want to buy tickets, they want to learn more about you, about Donnybrooke, about what you guys are doing at the City Center, how do they find you?
So they can go onto our social media, DonnyBrooke Fight Promotions, on both Facebook. I believe we have a TikTok now.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, I run the TikTok. Yeah.
Yes, I don't do social media that much. Instagram as well. Or they can look us up on Google, DonnyBrookeFightPromotions.com, and you can buy tickets online for that as well. The VIP tables are sold out. The mayor of Saratoga is actually coming.
Nice.
So that's going to be crazy. And then no pressure at all. Some front rows are still left, I believe. I know that they've been selling constantly. Every day I look and there's more front row tickets just going.
Yeah.
So, but
seats available. Will you have walk-in seats available, or
as long as
sure?
Yeah. And
more than likely.
And if our seats sell out, we have standing room, or we can add more seats.
And it'll be catered by Druthers. So Druthers will be providing food and alcohol.
Yeah. Shout out to our sponsors: Druthers, Celsius Energy Drink, Trojanski Builders, 2 Strains CBD, and Richard Kim Medicine.
Oh yeah. Dr. Kim over there.
Yeah.
Good old Dr. Kim.
Yeah, doing that
stem cell.
That's the regenerative stuff, right?
If you got $350, you can go do self-serve MRIs.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
You don't need a referral for it. You just pay $350. He'll let you get an MRI.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I want to, but at the same time, I feel like I'm going to find something I don't want to.
Don't take the test if you don't want to get the results.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, thanks a lot for coming down, sitting with us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for the fight. Can't wait to watch it. And it's going to be a great night. So everybody, if you're listening, check these guys out. Check out the fight cards. See who they got going on. It's going to be a great event. A lot of fun. And Can't wait. So thanks again, guys.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
Sky Zone Trampoline Park in Queensbury, New York. Elevate the way you celebrate at the best kids' birthday party place near you. We take care of all the hassle with planning birthday parties so you and your kids can focus on having fun. Check out our birthday party packages including private party areas, party invitations, supplies, a party host, and more. Come to Sky Zone Queensbury.
The superpower that every citizen has is the ability to control where they spend their time, money, and attention. By focusing these on supporting local businesses, you are having a profound impact on your friends, your family, and your local community. So if you want to change the world, you can start with buying local.